Hello and welcome to Evangel Profiles. I'm your host, Jacob Smith, and today I have my guest, Mr. Tommy Detmer. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right into things here. First question, where do you go to college and what are you studying?
So I go to Drury University just down the street, and I'm primarily focused in the biochem side of science, and that's going to be my major. I did consider a math minor at one point, but due to scheduling, I had to drop it. So yeah, biochem it is for me.
Okay. Well, what are some of your interests, like out of school, outside of school?
Well, if we're talking outside of school, basically I've got a lot of interest in creating things. So basically, any form of media I've kind of sunk my teeth into. I'm writing a book currently. I do illustrations for that book. I'm currently developing a podcast with a bunch of my buddies using Drury's equipment, and we're going to see if we can't distribute that, kind of get that going.
Right.
We're also going to see if maybe we can form kind of one of those crappy garage bands you always have in college. That'd be like really fun. And I think also we're kind of interested in applying to some kind of music film festival here in town. You know?
Okay.
I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it definitely sounds like you're doing a lot. Well, can you tell me a little more about the film festival?
Well, it was kind of like one of those moments where like you and a bunch of friends are together and we all love movies, so we decided, hell, let's make one. And my friend has heard about a bunch of film festivals here in town. I know LTC has one. I know there's one just kind of local where like you're given the equipment and you have to write a script, shoot it, edit it, and submit it in about 2 days. And so what we're trying to do is like using what we can, make a bunch of kind of like smaller movies, just to kind of what about we want, maybe a horror, maybe a comedy, and just try to keep the time low and then hopefully work our way up to a film festival and maybe even win some prizes. I think that's just nice, fun pastime from the stress of like college and finals.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. And there are plenty of opportunities. I know all these colleges around Springfield for film things and stuff like that, so that's neat. Well, you mentioned something about the podcast. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, much like the movies, again, it's a bunch of friends just kind of talking, and it's like, well, what do we want to do? Well, we like talking to each other, and I feel like I'm a little bit witty, so like maybe we can sit down and just kind of like talk at each other, and maybe people will listen. So I went over to Dre and was like, hey man, can we make something here? And he was like, oh yeah, totally. So we're going to be developing a podcast. We're trying to nail down the concept. We're thinking it might have to deal more with kind of like movies and TV where we just kind of watch it. But we also want to get the community involved, you know? So we'll have like maybe people like vote on what we watch, or like actually have like comments submitted and we can talk about them. And so that way not only are we talking, but the community is with us and we have kind of like an interactable base to work with.
Right.
And I think that'd be like wonderful. Yeah,
that sounds exciting. Well, one other question here. What do you see yourself doing in the future? So
I've always kind of had an interest in genetics. I've done genetics research for 2 years. And combined with the biochemical side of things, I really want to go into pre-med, but specifically for the purpose of going to oncology, treating cancer. And hopefully I can go through all those years. And I see myself in the future hopefully working at a hospital as an oncologist, seeing patients, prescribing like different chemical doses for chemotherapy, and hopefully being relatively successful. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that'd be great.
Okay. So what would you see yourself doing in maybe the next 5 years?
The next 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think in the time frame of 5 years, I would say that I would probably want to head off to the coast. The coast sounds absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think that'd also be a really good place to go to, like a pre-med school. That because I feel like you need to kind of diversify your locations. Sure, the Midwest is great, and there's a lot of opportunities, but.
Well, Tommy, thank you for coming on the show today. That's about all the time we have for EU Profiles. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.